Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. Welcome back to my home garden in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. In today's video, we're going to talk about how you can go from this to this in a matter of few short weeks. If you love juicy, delicious, tender beets, why not grow your own? Beets are such a versatile vegetable and such an easy vegetable to grow from seeds. And in today's video, we're going to cover everything from sowing to harvest. So if you're looking for that online channel that offers tips, tricks, easy, yet proven gardening advice to take your home gardens to that next level, don't go anywhere, guys. Stick around with me today. Start with going below this video and clicking the subscribe button. Click the bell icon as well if you want YouTube to send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video. Now come with me. Let's get gardening. If you love sweet, earthy beets, why not grow your own in your home garden? Beets are such a versatile vegetable. In fact, it's a dual crop. Not only can you enjoy the beautiful green leaf tops in delicious crunchy salads, you can even eat beets raw, put them in a salad, or even cook delicious soup borscht from beets. Beets are ready to harvest when they're even the size of a golf ball. Or of course you can wait and harvest them when they're the size of a tennis ball as well. But the smaller the size of the beetroot, the crunchier and the sweeter they'll be, because the larger they'll get, more drier and more woody their texture just tends to get. Beets are cool weather crop to grow, which makes them a perfect crop to grow in the spring season as well as the fall season. You can grow beets entire summer as well, as long as air temperatures do not exceed 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 degrees Celsius. There are so many beet or beetroot varieties out there, starting with your traditional red color beets. And there are so many red beet varieties out there as well, ranging to yellow beets, purple beets, even bicolor beets as well. So you can always choose the variety that you want to grow in your own home garden. Planting beets is super easy. They require very little care, very little maintenance. And in as little as 40 days, you could start harvesting your beautiful beets. Beets make great additions to any home garden. These cool weather loving crops can be grown in the spring season as well as the fall season. And when we're craving those crunchy, sweet, delicious homegrown crops, yet the temperatures are too cool to grow our tomatoes, our peppers, our eggplant, or even zucchini, we can enjoy the flavor of the beets throughout the entire spring, summer, and even fall seasons. And if you plant your beet seeds every 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to have a continuous beet harvest for 3 seasons in a row. You can plant your beets as soon as the soil in your home garden is workable and manageable. Beets are not afraid of frost. However, if you do plant them when the soil temperatures are 50 degrees Fahrenheit or above, they will germinate much quicker for you in as little as 5 to 8 days. If the soil temperatures are below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, you might have to wait 2 to 3 weeks until you will see germination. So you might have to be a bit patient. For those of you, my fellow home gardeners who live in United States of America, and if you live in gardening zones 8 or below, you can sow and grow your beets or beetroot 2 times a year. The first time is in the spring season and the second time is the fall season. If you're planting and growing your beets in the spring, you can plant them as early as 2 weeks before your last anticipated frost date. If you're planting and growing beets or beetroot in the fall, you should sow and grow your beets 4 to 6 weeks before your anticipated first frost date. And for those of you, my lucky home gardeners who live in gardening zones 9 and above, you can even sow and grow beets all winter season long. So you can sow and grow beets all year round. Lucky you guys, my fellow home gardeners. Beets or beet roots do prefer loamy soil with neutral to slightly acidic pH that is not too high in nitrogen. As I previously mentioned, if your soil has too much nitrogen composition, you're going to get a lot of green growth, yet the sizing of your beetroots will not be large enough or to your liking. They do appreciate plenty of potassium and phosphate to develop these healthy roots. When choosing the planting site to plant and grow your beets, make sure that that site or that location will receive full amount of sunlight, and that's at least 6+ hours of bright direct sunlight per day. The soil in which you will be planting your beet seeds should be loose and airy. There should never be any rocks, any clumps, or any old roots from previous grown crops. Another thing to note about the location is that you should not plant beets in a location where you previously were growing either spinach or Swiss chard, because beets are prone to similar pests as well as disease that Swiss chard and spinach are prone to as well. Make sure that if you're planting your beets in a container, your container will be at least 12 inches deep for proper root growth and development. I always like to loosen up the soil prior to planting my seeds. Be diligent, be very thorough. If you're seeing any clumps, always break those clumps up, because remember, beets are actually beet root. So if you want your beet root to grow large and have the proper sizing and the proper shape, there should be absolutely no obstructions for it below the soil surface. Now that you loosened up your soil, you made sure that there are no bumps or lumps in your soil, no rocks, no debris, and no old root system from previous growing crops. What is that next step? The next step is to amend the soil with either compost or manure. Today I will be amending the soil in this raised garden bed where I'll be growing my beets with Espoma organic land and sea compost. I'm going to take handfuls of this compost, and you could tell the difference in the color between the soil and the compost. I'm going to be very diligent and very thorough. You're welcome to use any other compost, even your own homemade compost as well. You can use any manure that you can get your hands on as well. I will link the Espoma Organic Land and Sea Compost in the comment section below for those of you guys who are interested in getting it, in purchasing it. And I'm not associated with Espoma Organic in absolutely any way. This company I use in my own home, in my home garden. I use their fertilizers and I use their potting mix as well as their compost, and it does wonders for me and my crops in my home garden. But again, you're welcome to use anything that you have in your own home garden. Once you will add the compost to the raised garden bed or even container or the soil of your home garden, the next step will be to thoroughly mix the compost in with the soil in your home garden. If you happen to find any more clumps or lumps, thoroughly break them up, because you want to make sure that your beetroots will have the best success in growing. Now that my soil is fully amended in my raised garden bed, I am ready to plant 2 new beet varieties in my home garden. The first is this beautiful striped, colorful beet variety. This is called the Beet Gourmet Blend variety, and it's ready to be harvested in roughly 65 days after sowing time. The next organic beet variety which I will be growing is the Detroit dark red medium top beet variety, which is your classic red beet. And it's ready to be harvested in 59 days from sowing to harvest. I'm going to make 2 separate rows. I'm going to plant one variety in the first row, second variety in the second row. Because I am planting and growing 2 varieties, I'm going to clearly label each row so I will know which variety is growing where. You're going to need gardening tags as well as gardening marker or a Sharpie. You cannot use water-based markers, my fellow home gardeners, because those will get washed off with the next rainfall. So make sure the marker you're using is an oil-based marker. I have just opened up the Gourmet Blend Beet variety. I put some of the seeds here in the palm of my hand, and I wanted to show you guys what beet seeds look like. In fact, each of these wrinkled seeds is a combination of 2 to 4 seeds. So don't be surprised when you plant even 1 beet seed, you're going to see multiple seedling germinations. That is why when your beet greens will be to be about 4 to 5 inches tall, you're going to need to thin out your beets. You want to leave 3 to 4 inches between each of the beet seedlings. Why? Because you want to give that beetroot enough spacing to grow. How do you thin? Never attempt to pull out the seedling. They have shallow, delicate root systems, and they will not tolerate to be disturbed. Always either pinch off the greens or use scissors or pruning shears to cut off those tender greens. And don't discard of them, my fellow home gardeners. You can eat them raw as you're gardening, or you can bring them inside your house and make a crunchy, delicious salad from them. One more piece of advice: when you are pinching those greens, make sure that you leave at least 3 green leaves on each of your transplants or each of your seedlings, as they do need that photosynthesis source, that light source, in order to grow a large enough beetroot. So each of your seedlings or each of your beet plants should always have at least 2 to 3 leaves remaining on it. Never cut all the leaves off. Now let's start by making the rows. Let's make our rows. Today I will be making 2 rows as I'm planting 2 different beet varieties. You can use either the side of the palm of your hand to make your row like this. Why you can use your hand and don't even need a shovel is because beet seeds need to be planted half to 1 inch below the soil surface. No more than 1 inch, or they will have a hard time germinating. You can always also use a small hand shovel if you choose to do so. I'm going to make the next row right over here. And that is all, guys. And now we're going to position the seeds. If you are not sure how deep to plant your beet seed, each of your packets, seed packets, will always have clear planting instructions on the back. For example, the Gourmet Blend, the depth needs to be half an inch, and it says that you will see the seedlings emerge 5 to 21 days after you sow them. Row spacing 12 inches. So if you're making multiple rows, you should always make sure that there's at least 12 inches of spacing between the rows. Now let's plant them. Again, remember, each of these wrinkly seeds is a combination of 2 to 4 seeds. So you are going to get multiple germinations from each seed. So there's no need to put too many seeds in each row. I'm going to space 1 seed And as you're going to see your seedlings come up, remember not to thin them out right away. You have to wait until your greens, your leaf greens, are 4 to 5 inches tall. You do not thin them out before they're 4 to 5 inches tall. I think I am good, guys, because again, I don't want to waste my seeds and I don't want to end up ripping out too many seedlings when I am thinning them. Done with our first row. Now I'm going to sow second beet, the Detroit red variety, in my second row. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to space my seeds about 3 to 4 inches apart or so, and I'm not going to over clutter them. I'm not going to overseed because I am expecting to get multiple seedlings from each of these beet seeds. Now that our beet seeds are positioned in our rows, and you could see that I didn't overseed my rows, the next step is to backfill gently. No need to cover with too much soil, guys. Remember, 1/2 inch to 1 inch only. So your beetroots will not have a hard time germinating and sprouting. I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the second row. Gently cover it with a light layer of your soil and compost mix. Now the next question might be, do I need to add fertilizer? Beets do not require much fertilization. In fact, if you do fertilize throughout the growing season, I recommend that you do not add a fertilizer that's high in nitrogen, because that's going to encourage lots of green leaf growth and it's going to take away from your beet root size. I have also made 2 separate gardening tags, one for the gourmet blend beets and one for the Detroit dark red beets, and I'm going to place them right over here, so as they sprout and grow, I will know exactly which beet variety I have growing where. The next step is to thoroughly water your freshly planted beet seeds. Be generous with the watering, my fellow home gardeners. That is one problem that many of us beginner home gardeners may have, is lack of germination, and then we wonder why. One of the very main causes of lower lack of germination is not enough watering. Our beets will need about 1 inch of water per week to grow beautifully and increase their root size. Now that you planted your delicious, crunchy, sweet beets, when can you harvest your beets? Majority of beet varieties you can harvest anywhere between 55 to 70 days after sowing. You could start harvesting your beets when they're as little as the size of a golf ball, or you can wait until they're as large as the size of a tennis ball. However, the smaller the sizing of the beetroot, the sweeter and juicier the flavor will be. If you wait too long to harvest your beets, the flavor might not be as good and they will taste quite woody. Also, what's another indication that your beets are ready to be harvested? You're going to start seeing the sides of the beets, or something we like to call shoulders, come up above the soil surface. If you see the shoulders of your beetroot come up above the soil surface, that means that your beets are telling you that it's time to harvest them. When removing weeds from your garden beds or even pots and containers, be very careful, guys. Beets have very shallow root systems and will not tolerate being disturbed beneath the soil surface. So be very delicate when weeding your beds. This is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here today on this beautiful summer-like spring day in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. In today's video, we spoke about planting and growing beets from seed. If you have enjoyed the content of today's video, if you found today's video to be useful, helpful, informative, in absolutely any way, don't be shy, guys. Show me that support by clicking thumbs up below. Leave your comments in the comment section as well. I personally read each and every single one of your comments and respond to each and every single one of you. Let me know, do you grow beets in your home gardens? If so, what varieties do you guys like to grow? For those who haven't yet subscribed to my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor, what are you waiting for, guys? Super easy for you to do, super pleasing and rewarding to me. Just go below this video and click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video, don't forget to click the bell icon as well. Stay healthy, happy, be well, and enjoy this gorgeous spring weather. And as I always like to say, happy gardening, my fellow home gardeners, and I'll see you again in my new upcoming garden videos. Bye, guys.